Your Fitness Business Podcast Snapshot. What is the value in re-engaging former clients, ideas to connect with former members, and strategies that are suitable for all studios? All of that and more coming up in today's show. Did you know that the Fitness Business Podcast is the fitness industry's leading fitness business podcast for owners and managers? And we are number one because of you, our FBP family. The Fitness Business Podcast strives to provide a weekly educational platform for our listeners. The variety of international guests are here to share their expert advice, knowledge, and tips with everyone in the industry. Has it really been a week since Amy Nicotera, creator of E5 Collective, was a guest on the show? Oh my goodness, time sure flies by when you're having fun. Fit Pros, if you are looking for another outlet on how to produce extra income, check out her show, episode number 372. Now, on to episode 373 with our Aussie friend, Sheay Wheeler. Sheay is the owner of The Function Room, and we are proud to say he's also an alumni of the Fitness Business Podcast Fanatic crew. Yes, Sheay reached out to us offering to share with all of you his success in getting former members back into his facility. Before we get started, let's hear a few words from our amazing podcast partner, MyZone. MyZone has pioneered unique wearables with talking point technology that makes the difference. Reach more members of your community and keep them engaged for longer through motivation and gamification wherever they choose to work out. In the gym, at home, or outdoors, we're stronger together. Get in the zone at myzone.org. Have you ever wondered how to reignite and reengage your members? Well, if you were thinking that exact same thing, I have Sheay Wheeler with me today. He is the owner of The Function Room, which is a personal training studio in Lismore, New South Wales, Australia. And he seems to have a secret on how to get these members back into the club and back training. Sheay, we are excited to have you as our industry expert today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much, Dory.
All right. So you've got this secret. I don't know. You said you can do it and you're dying to share it with our FBP family.
Yes. Yeah. It won't be a secret much longer, but there's a small thing that I do that seems to work really well for us. And I think we should all be implementing it if we can.
All right. So here we go. Let's get started. What is the value in re-engaging former clients / members?
Yeah, well, in our industry, sometimes people will move on despite our best efforts and oftentimes for reasons outside of our control. But I don't view that as being final. If we've provided a good experience in the past, it doesn't need to be the end. These people that have moved on become our most qualified leads because they already know us, they like us, and they trust us. That key know, like, trust factor. In terms of coming back to us, they don't experience any intimidation or gym intimidation around coming back into our particular facility. So while they're away, if we can stay front of mind for them, if we can be ready and willing to open them back with open arms, and if we can remove any friction for them to come back, then there's an easy pathway for them to join us again when the motivation strikes. Advantage there that in terms of marketing, I don't need to make them aware of my brand. They're already aware of us. And then in terms of sales, that sale has already been done. You've already overcome their objections in the past, so it becomes really straightforward the second time through.
Sheay, I can't absolutely agree with you more. I think there's nothing than a hotter lead than one that was already a member of your club. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say today. What might the timeline look of this what does this process look like?
Sure. Well, so it should begin when they're still in your facility, right? We want to be doing everything we can to retain that client. And even if a person leaves, if I've been implementing all the right steps for retention, once again, it doesn't necessarily need to be final. This is a lesson I picked up from the Fitness Business Podcast years ago. But in a client's mind, if they feel that I can no longer help them achieve their goals or that I no longer care, those are the conditions they need to leave. So I cannot allow that to enter their minds at all. And if I fail to let them know that I care and that I can help them, I'm unlikely to get them back regardless of the strategies that we implement.
So you're really starting this process while they're there and while they're training with you.
Absolutely. And it doesn't take a ton of effort. It's just the act of providing the best experience every single time that you can.
So now the member wants to leave. Now what?
I would say I want to give them the very best breakup they've ever had. So I don't want to become that bitter and awkward ex. I don't want to guilt trip this person or be emotionally manipulative in any way. I want to be really as cool as I can be about this. And that starts with, I don't need to interrogate that person or ask for a post-mortem of what's happened. That's uncomfortable. We love to get feedback because that's data for us to continue to improve our business, but they don't owe it to us. And it can be really uncomfortable if we do that wrong.
No, I've seen some nasty breakups.
I've been in a couple, yeah. But from a procedural point of view too, I don't like to make it too difficult for them to leave. And this is a little bit model dependent. We have, for example, a 2-week cancellation policy. If a person leaves, it takes me about 2 weeks to fill that spot. And most people are okay with that. But oftentimes I'll forgive that cancellation just because it leaves a slightly better taste in the person's mouth and it leaves the door more open for them to come back. Now, as much as we don't want to make it seem personal to the client, I do need to take it personally a little bit. This is just a mindset hack. I need to say to myself, all right, so they've moved on for reasons X, Y, or Z, but is there anything beneath the surface that I could have done a little bit better to help? Because I don't want these to be recurring problems for my existing members or clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to take it personally. I mean, whether you break up with you're breaking up with the trainer or the hairdresser, It's hard not to take it personally, but it also can be for the trainer a learning process for them as well.
Exactly. And we experience churn and that's okay. But I'm not a big fan of saying, oh, look, it's wintertime. Of course, numbers drop off because next thing you know, you're down a significant number and you're not analyzing where you could have done better yourself. And that's where we should always look first.
Yeah, I agree with you. The club I used to work at, it was always the summertime. It was like everybody would leave in the summer. And you're right. Sometimes you just accepted that. So I like the fact that you're like, hey, don't accept it. Fight for it.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
All righty. So now they've canceled and they're away. What's going on while they're away? How are you start the process to get them back?
Yeah, well, in terms of meeting the person where they are and not thinking like a trainer and not being able to relate at all to what the average client experiences, I need to first understand that they don't eat, sleep, and breathe training like we do in the industry. Most people's fitness journey is not going to be linear. There's going to be sabbaticals, and that's totally okay. And that makes me a little bit more relatable to that person right away. Then also, too, the nature of my relationship with the client or your relationship with the customer, it is quid pro quo. They pay us money and we provide some kind of fitness result. But if my care factor only begins and ends at that transaction, that's not a great place to come from either. So if that's kind of where you're at and the person is no longer paying you, so you no longer give a damn, I would say you might need to go back to why you came into this industry to start with. Then in terms of for the time that they're away, I won't deliberately carve out time to stalk people. That's not okay to do. But if I see someone downtown in those kind of organic social interactions, I'll always have time for them, whether they're currently with me or not. If we're still friends on Facebook, we should still be friends on Facebook. But if I see something noteworthy or exciting going on in their life, that's a great time for me to comment. And then in terms of Facebook memories, which pop up every day, I'll often get ones with me working out with a client, and maybe I haven't seen that client for 6 months. If I think that's something that's going to be welcome and they're going to really enjoy seeing that, I'll send that to them, or I'll tag them, or I'll do a quick comment. Hey, remember when we did X, Y, or Z? And that can be really quite cool. I also believe in supporting local, and a lot of my clients are business owners. So, of course, continuing to patronize their businesses. A few months ago, we needed a new bookkeeper, and one of my former clients is a fantastic bookkeeper. I knew that from her, from our time training together. So it became a very obvious choice to choose her. And bringing her on board has been great for my business in that regard, but there's no expectation by me that she's going to come on as a client. However, I know she knows we're a great place to train. The door is open. So certainly, there is some potential for that in the future as well. It's kind of about maintaining the same interest when they're away as when they're with you.
There's so many things you said there that I completely agree with you. One, the fact that I like that you recognize it. Hey, not everybody eats and sleeps fitness like we do. I like that you recognize that. And I love the fact that you're still kind of knocking on their door through social media. You're not in their face, you're not stalking them, but you're staying in front of them. Let's hear about now once they return.
Yeah, so as a quick note, I would say take some time to consider, is this a client that I want back? Because that's not always going to be the case if they've been a particularly high maintenance client in the past, or if they don't add to the culture. But assuming that it's somebody that I want back and it's a very welcome return, well, then all positivity, all celebration. This isn't a time to point out how much fitness this person's lost, because they're probably already quite aware of that themselves. It's a time to remind them that, look, anything lost in terms of strength or fitness, or anything gained in terms of weight, it's easily reversible with the right program. And, that's something that we're uniquely positioned to give that person, and that's why they came back. So just setting them up to understand that we will get them as fit and as strong as before, and then beyond that, really building that expectation and optimism around what's next for them. When they first come back, you'll use it as a chance to review your old programming notes, pre-exercise questionnaires, and that kind of thing. Their injury histories, exercise likes and dislikes, and this is a big one. Because if, Dory, if I bring you back after 6 months or a year, and during the time that you trained with me, I knew that you hated cardio but really enjoyed weights. And on your first session back, I throw you a big cardio session, I'll never see you again. That's a massive mistake. So play to their strengths, give them a workout and experience that they're going to like. And it's also worth brushing up on their family and their interests in their career, as it's important for people to know that you remembered those things and still care about those things as well. I wouldn't assume right away that their previous goals are still the number one priority. Check up with them. Are there any updates to their goals? Do they have different events going on in their lives? Any updates to their health status and injury status as well? And then in terms of fitting in the right place, do they prefer group classes? Do they prefer one-on-one? Do they prefer semi-privates? Do they have any preferred trainers? So you just want to make sure that they're coming into the environment in the way that they're going to enjoy it best.
So I think listening to them is the best way to capture, make them happy, get them back in. And you don't want to make them feel guilty for the reason why they're leaving. You never know why they left.
No, that's right. And, some of that stuff is none of our business. But, we build a connection with our clients, but they're adults. They don't need to explain anything to you. It's once again, that positivity is really key, and congratulating them for making that big step back as opposed to dragging someone over the coals for taking a sabbatical, which is, a thing that's going to happen for most people.
Some of our sales guests talk about they might leave and it might not have been anything that the club or the gym or the fitness studio did, but you know what? They might end up recommending one or two of their neighbors or their friends to come into the club.
Exactly. And in those cases, then if you're getting a referral from someone that's no longer with you, when the time is right, they are primed. If they're sending their friends there, when they get back into fitness, it will be with you. So, once again, just stay in front of mind like you talked about before. As an additional note, if they've been elsewhere and they've been training, don't run down the competition when they come back.
Sheay, we're going to move forward here with, I know you have some specific examples that you wanted to share with our FBP family on ways that you have reconnected with former clients.
Yes. And we've got a couple that work well. One in particular has been really successful for us, and it begins when they first tell us that they're ready to move on. So I'll always offer a complimentary at-home program for this person. The idea being, if you've built up a level of fitness and strength, with us, we know that fitness is hard won and it goes quite easy. I don't want to see that person leave that. So I'll find out what equipment they have at home. I'll schedule a time for them to come in with myself or one of the trainers. We'll put together a specific program for that person so they can keep working while they're away. This is cool. It's a strong last reminder of the great work we do. the nature of exercise programs, we know our bodies adapt and they can become a little bit stale. So it gives us an opportunity to reach out at certain intervals, maybe the 6-week or the 12-week mark, to update those programs. So I'll sometimes reach out and say, hey, if your program's getting a little bit stale and you want an update, feel free. Like, I would be very happy to help you with that. You can continue to keep the person moving. You remind them once again of the good work that you do. And oftentimes they'll say, yeah, look, I haven't been doing that program very much at home because I find I'm not as motivated without the accountability. And then you get to come back in as that accountability partner and potentially a chance to reignite them right there. We talked about kind of these organic interactions. So if I run into people, of course, conversations can lead to that kind of thing. But once again, there's no obligation for me to do that. That's not why I'm having those conversations. However, it can be a nice side effect. I mentioned before Facebook memories. And after a certain time, if you look back at a Facebook memory of you working out, you think, wow, like that was a really cool time in my life. I loved how I felt and how strong and how vital I felt at that time. What I like about this one is too, it becomes an aspirational goal because they achieved that. That's their body. That's something they did. It's not just some arbitrary inspirational post they saw of somebody on Instagram who might have, totally different body type, totally different lifestyle. So it becomes very relevant to that person. A lot of you guys will have VIP. Am I going quite fast with these tips? I'll slow it down a little bit. Too much value. A lot of you guys will have VIP groups or closed groups for your members. If a person finishes with me, I don't kick them out of that group. If I think they can still get value from that, they can maintain a connection with some of the people they know through the community, I'll keep them on there. And that keeps them up to date with what we're doing and potentially creates a little bit of the FOMO, the fear of missing out effect. Also, too, recently we had a situation where we had a new trainer come on and she brings a very different energy to me, a different style to me. And we took this as an opportunity to reach out to old clients and tell them about her. Because as much as I like to think, everyone would love to stay with me forever, sometimes when people move on, it's just because I'm not the right fit for them. I bring a certain kind of energy and that might be right. So because I knew our new trainer had a contrasting energy, we really made an email sequence to tell her story and see if that resonated with anyone there. And similar to the VIP group thing, I like to let people know that regardless of how long they've been gone, they're always welcome at social events that we hold. If we have a barbecue, there'll often be people that haven't or aren't currently trained with me, but it's just a nice chance to once again reconnect and plug them into that community.
I love the trainer that's off the charts, woohooing, the loudest guy in the gym. But then it's funny because I had a guest on probably about a year ago. Her name was Joanna Rawbone. She talked about introverts in the gym. And She was saying that that's the last thing that somebody that's an introvert likes. They don't want to be with the loud person and the person that's calling them out in front of everybody. So love the fact that you recognize different strokes for different folks. These strategies that you have, do you feel that they are suitable for businesses with like different personal training models or even different size clubs / personal training studios?
I'm from a small town, so, the connections do happen. I run into people all the time, and personal training in particular does make for those strong connections. But regardless of the size of the city you're in or the facility that you have, I think we can all take a community-minded approach there. And if it's not especially relevant for the owners, it should be really relevant for their most customer-facing staff, their employees, their trainers, and their instructors there. So, I would recommend that owners and PT managers in large commercial settings, they encourage those most client-facing trainers and instructors to implement these strategies. Regardless of the model size, you could allocate some amount of time and some amount of energy like we do to our marketing and our sales and our attention, a little bit to re-engagement, even if it's only an hour or two each month, could yield some really nice results.
Sheay, I would love for you just to summarize everything that you've kind of said about reigniting and re-engaging the members.
Sure. So we know that consistency over time is the key to sustainable results. So as fitness professionals, the best thing we can do is provide an environment for people to thrive long-term with their fitness. And I would say, don't give up on the ones that have left. Keep that door open, reignite that fire if you can, bring them back into your business and put yourself in a position to make those health and fitness changes last for good this time. That's kind of our ultimate mission as fitness professionals, I feel.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
What are your 3 top tips to re-engage and reignite your clients?
So the very first thing is that you need to earn the right to ask them back in the first instance, which means that while they're with you, you need to provide a really good experience that they would want to come back. The second thing I would say is that we want to give the best breakup ever, like I mentioned before. So by making a situation that's potentially uncomfortable, that they might even be expecting to be uncomfortable, really surprisingly pleasant, I should say, it leaves the door open for a future return. And finally, I would say that don't underestimate the value of a partying at-home program gift or something that they can take away to keep their fitness going. It's a handful of dollars for you, but it shows that you actually give a damn about their fitness. It keeps the client moving, and it's a powerful reminder of how great your workouts are. It's very small cost for, to do a lot of good, I think.
Keep Me, smarter member retention. KeepMe.ai.
Now it's time to get back to the show. Sheay, I am so grateful that you came on today's show. You definitely shared your passion today, your excitement, and I do believe that's going to get all of our listeners out there just as excited and passionate about personal training.
Great. Very grateful that you had me on, Dory.
Yeah. So everybody's going to now contact you and be like, oh my gosh, I got all my members that left before COVID or for whatever reason. They're going to come back into the club. People are going to be overwhelmed with the amount of members that they got back.
I really hope so. That's the mission, right?
Thank you, Sheay Wheeler, for sharing your industry success tips to everyone that is listening. And a big thank you to our FBP family for supporting the Fitness Business Podcast as we remain your go-to podcast for fitness education. Let's pause for a brief minute to hear from our podcast sponsor, Discover Strength.
At Discover Strength Franchising, we know you want to own a thriving fitness business. We believe you should be able to do work that you are passionate about while also making a great living. Imagine owning a distinguished fitness business backed by a market-tested business model where efficient 30-minute strength workouts are provided to your clients by expert, educated personal trainers. Here's how to get started. Head to discoverstrengthfranchise.com and fill out the contact form. Set up a pre-qualification call with our franchise team. Join us for a mutual discovery day. So head to discoverstrengthfranchise.com so you can start falling in love with your work again.
Quickfire 5.
Whom better to have take on our Quickfire 5 questions than next week's guest, Navy SEAL Tom Sheay. Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family, it is time for your favorite Quickfire 5 question and answer session. Today, my special guest is Tom Sheay. Tom is a Navy SEAL as well as an author of 3 Simple Things. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. And are you ready for your questions?
Dory, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
All righty. First one is, what is a life lesson you learned from the pandemic?
You know what I learned from the pandemic is don't pay attention to what everybody else does. Pay attention to your own life first and don't panic.
That's a good one. I like that one. Number 2, I can't wait to hear your answer. If you could play a character in any movie, what character would it be?
I would play John Wayne. Of all, not that I'm a man, but he stood for something that I think is rare, and I would play that character.
Oh, great answer. And number 3, please complete this statement. Sunday morning, you can find me.
You can find me every morning at 5 o'clock working out. No unique days in my life.
All right. I wouldn't expect nothing less. And number 4, what is your favorite book recommendation for our Fitness Business Podcast family?
The most important book I think anybody should read was written a long time ago. Most people don't see a lot of importance to it. It's a book called Do Hard Things, and it was written in 1940. So Do Hard Things, find it. And it will teach you about health at a basic level. It teaches you about a wonderful set of living skills that are lost. So Do Hard Things.
All right, perfect. And I always say when people bring up the oldies, I'm like, hey, oldie but goodie. Some of those classics just never die. So great recommendation. And finally, Tom, here's your chance to pitch to our FBP family why they should come back next week to listen to your episode.
I've spent an entire lifetime, or at least my adult lifetime, doing very difficult things in very chaotic environments. And I now teach my kids, and I teach my clients, and I teach leaders how to survive and thrive in chaos. And that's my pitch, because it's my lifestyle.
All right, everybody, you heard it straight from Navy SEAL Tom Sheay. Please come back next week as he talks to us about 3 Simple Things, the book that he has personally written.
Did you know that the active ingredient in most disinfecting wipes has well-documented lung, skin, and reproductive health concerns? That active ingredient is called a quaternary ammonium compound, or a quat, not necessarily something you'd want in a health and wellness facility. VaporFresh disinfecting gym wipes avoid all quats and instead use an innovative citric acid chemistry to disinfect. Even with this greener chemistry, VaporFresh is still EPA registered to disinfect 99.9% of surfaces. VaporFresh is trusted by some of the most premier gyms and college rec centers nationwide. With 1,200 wipes per roll and 4 rolls per case, they offer an unbeatable value per wipe. Order today at vaporfresh.com or Amazon.
Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family, Sarah Pellegrino here, your host of The Value Proposition. Each month, I'm bringing you an insightful conversation with a different industry supplier so you can learn the value they bring to the industry above and beyond their product or service. This month, we are celebrating 1 year of The Value Proposition. It has been the most amazing journey made possible by our talented guests for the past 12 months and you, our FBP family. From the very bottom of my heart, thank you for tuning in each month. Going live on Friday, July 23rd, you'll hear me speak with one guest from each of the 12 past episodes to find out what's new at their companies. We talk new and improved products, and each guest shares a piece of advice on how to win in the market in 2021 and beyond. It will be a cannot miss episode, so be sure to download it anywhere you listen to your podcasts or from our website. You can watch the podcast on our YouTube channel or on our website, fitnessbusinesspodcast.com.
Looking to connect with today's industry expert, Sheay Wheeler? Look no further. Head on over to our show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And next up, a message from our founding partner, Active Management.
Hi, FBP family. It's JT from Active Management, the founding partner of the Fitness Business Podcast. Thanks to the amazing technology at our fingertips, we can now work with clients all over the world. But right now, you can join the free online Active Management Facebook community. It's an amazing group of people just like you. Sure, I share weekly resources, but it's the power of the community that you will experience that will make this your go-to Facebook group. Remember, it's free, fun, and inspirational. Go to facebook.com/groups/Active Management Community.
What you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.